Assalamu alaikum. This is Yusra, a PhD student of University of Pitești, Romania. I'm talking to represent a paper entitled Representation of Masculinity, a Critical Discourse Analysis of Framing Violence Positively. So through the analysis, 10 YouTubes comments on a brutal video, the study aims to show how masculine-related violence is minimized while feminine responsibility is given attention. So the study aims to explore how masculinity is constructed through discourse and how it contributes to the positive framing of female violence. So here, the problem that caused the need to such a study is an unbelievable tendency to normalize, sympathize, and even justify male violence while consistently blaming female victims. To reach study aims, it is found that the following four models specifically working led to the promised finding. So Fairclough's, this is the first one, Fairclough's three-dimensional approach, Holiday and Matheson, systematic factional linguistics, Goffman, concept of a frame, and Innsman, concept of selection and staleness framing. Before we refer to the essential theoretical background for the study, let's know some things about the data. As I already said it, 10 comments are randomly selected. They are made on a video that covers on the following story. Let me read it. So the story that the video covers is related to a young lady, Naira, being murdered by one of her male friends. Naira Sharif, an Egyptian lady, is a victim of gruesome murder. She is a 21-year-old college student. She was brutally attacked in Egypt's northern city of Mansoura. She was beaten and stabbed multiple times by Adil, her colleague, who ultimately slit her throat tragically, ending her life. According to local media sources, Naira was about to enter her university when the attack occurred. Shocking footage on the incident shows her fighting for her life on the ground as bystanders attempt to intervene, while the assailant brandishes his knife before committing the fatal act. It later emerged that Naira had rejected a marriage proposal from her attacker, so the assailant was quickly apprehended, and Egypt's public prosecutor charged him with premeditated murder. Prosecutors cite threatening messages found on Naira's phone from the assailant as evidence. So the following constructed the theoretical background of the study. First one, critical discourse analysis, Fairclough's three-dimensional approach, systematic factional linguistics, framing theory, selection and staleness theory, gender bias, and the last one, masculine cultural. So the first one is critical discourse analysis. Is the study field. The special part in critical discourse analysis is that it goes behind mere textual analysis, but it helps to uncover the unobjective social treatments. So preferring masculinity and positive representation of their violent action is a symbol of the unobjective coverage that critical discourse analysis gets interested in. As a critical discourse analysis approach, Fairclough's three-dimensional approach is chosen as a study model. So three-dimensional approach consists of three complementary stages. The first one, description, textual analysis. The formal elements of the text, such as transitivity, lexical choices, mood, and modality, are investigated in the first stage. The second one, interpretation, discursive practice, the relationship between the production and consumption of the discourse and the discourse itself is covered in the second stage. The third one, explanation, social practice. The final stage refers to the conceptual and historical dimension of the discourse. So here, systematic factional linguistics is covered because it works as a suitable choice for Fairclough's first stage, because it is said that here systematic factional linguistics theorize language in a way which harmonizes far more with perspectives of critical social science than the other theories of language. Here part of this study, model and theoretical background, is framing theory, specifically two of them. First one, here frame theories. Frame means or refers to the repeated patterns with regards to any social issue. For instance, repeated patterns with regards to masculinity representation. The second one, or the another theory of frame within the realm of media discourse studies, here is selection and staleness frame. So this presents a widely used concept of framing theory. In his theory, framing is defined as the process of making certain aspects of societies more salient in text or discourse, such as media discourses. This processes is done by highlighting certain elements, events, or characters and downplaying some others in an objective way. So final key concepts to this study: theoretical background, gender bias, and masculine cultural. So bias is the unobjective representation of one group. It is of two kinds. First one explicit and the second one implicit. So the first one is overt bias, can be easily noticed, while the second one, implicit, can't be easily noticed as people are not aware of it. Here, masculine cultural with regards to gender inequalities. Bias occurs in masculine cultural when men are preferred over women. So the concept of masculine cultural describes the concept as everything that relates to gender in society, such as beliefs, attitudes, responsibilities, norms, values, and cultural structures that results in contributing less rights, values, and rules to women in those societies. So the analysis in this study is done in two steps. First, a linguistic analysis. Second, a discussion. I'll show you two samples of the linguistic analysis. One shows an explicit bias and the other establishes an implicit bias. So this one, as you see in the slide, shows explicit bias. The comment says, I don't blame the killer because when girls have someone who loves them, they became demanding and don't feel his emotion. Well done, bravo. So in this comments, there is a mental process that shows the female victim in a negative position. So the use of lexes such as demanding and doubtful are also negative, but lexical related to the killer is positive. Love. So there is no sympathy at all. The second comment shows implicit bias. Some things like on it is one side, love. So doesn't seem biased unless it is used as excuse for a kill. So we have a positive representation of violence by framing the incident as being an unsuccessful and sad love story via verbal transitive structure. And the lexical choice of love goes against the brutality of the incident, therefore it implies lack of sympathy. So here, with regards to discussion, we have the three main points. First one, the analysis of 10 comments above shows that Eastern people often tend to normalize and positively frame male violence in social media even when the incident is clearly violent. The normalization of positive framing of male violence is done by two means. The first one, framing male violence as necessarily justifiable. Here we have some examples: one-sided love, depression, hard rejection and exploitation, etc. And the second one, framing female victims as responsible for the incident. So here, the second one, there is an obvious emotional bias, explicitity and implicity. So here, people are programmed to never sympathize women victims. So commenters from both genders shows a low degree of sympathy with the female victim despite of the discussable brutality of the incident. This can reveal the fact the Eastern society is a masculine cultural when even women themselves find it difficult to be defined as real victims of female violence. While the third one, biased masculinity, preference, and positive representation of male-related violence by means of the selection and staleness framing of the comments. This means that content focused on shows bias against women, and there is clear selectivity in the elements focused on, for example, there is more focus on the victim's life and life style than the focus on the brutality of the murder. So this frame in turn allows and promotes for the following: the normalization of male-related violence, the reinforcement of patriarchal ideologies, masculine cultural, shifting blame away from the perpetrators and justifying the unjustifiable. So the last one here, the findings of this study underscore and portray the deeply ingrained gender biases for the favor of masculinity present in Eastern society, where male-related violence is framed as necessarily justifiable, while female victimization is highly minimized. The analysis of the 10 comments has revealed a consistent pattern of reducing responsibility and accountability away from perpetrators, namely a male one, onto female victim. This pattern serves to reinforce patriarchal norms and ideologies that favor masculinity and masculine cultural throughout a tragic use of language, selection and staleness framing, and emotional bias. Commenters consciously and subconsciously normalize male related violence and excuse the justify brutal behaviors that results in gender inequality. So the implications of this study and its findings are far-reaching. The study findings uncover how the public in Eastern society perceives violence against women, and how social expectations and norms shape and reshape the discourse on this regards. Thank you.